You're looking at this. This video is going to walk you through the pay card Excel spreadsheet so you can determine and see what type of call volume you're going to be getting and how much money you can make. Now we have two different pay scales. We have an hourly pay scale. Hourly starts off at $15 an hour for the first 2 weeks from a training standpoint, and then you're shifted up to between 17 and 25 depending on your experience. If you already have cabling experience, you are starting off at 17 or anywhere between 17. That can be raised up to 25 an hour. The individuals with that experience, even though you have the experience for the first week, you still have to start off at 17. No experience, you start off at 15. But 100% of the techs are using the per site piece rate because you make a ton of money this way. You make a lot more money than the hourly techs. Give me an example, and we'll go through the Excel spreadsheet. But basically, this is our typical call. Standard install, basically someone is moving into an apartment, someone has changed service, that's what this call is. This right here is the same thing, moving into an apartment, changing services, but they have more than two different areas. So you got a box going in one room, and then you may have three other devices. So we get a few of these calls every now and then. We have a lot of trouble ticket calls, and we have a lot of addition. Now, look at these numbers as an hourly basis from an hourly per hour standpoint, because we really aren't on site over an hour. For the first week or two, if you don't have the experience, it may take you up, to that hour, but these calls are going to wash themselves out. For the troubleshooting calls, it could be a situation to where the batteries need to be replaced, or you may walk in there and exchange a box and you're out the door. Someone could have pushed a armoire or couch too far back and it bent the RJ6 clip or end, and you just got to replace it, so you're in and out in 5 or 10 minutes. Some you just need to replace a wire or two. It's been laying on the radiant heater and got burned, or someone put a staple in it, or just cut it accidentally. So these calls are pretty quick, but I'll give you an idea of what you can make in a 7-day work week. Now, our work weeks, we have two shifts. We have a Tuesday through Sunday, and then we have a Monday through Friday. There are going to be rotations, but you have the capability to work 7 days a week if you choose to. But a typical tech on average is going to get about 3 standard installs. They're going to get about 6 troubleshooting calls, and they're probably going to get about 2 to 3 additions. Now, with that alone, that's $231.35 for the day. That's 11 calls. That's $1,100 a week. Now, keeping in mind, you will start to receive commercial calls after about a month. Commercial calls are a little bit more complicated. They require a little bit more finesse and definitely some skills. So on average, you got about 30 days, 45 days before you start seeing commercial calls. But we also did a commercial call that day or yesterday as well. So you got the $231, and then of course the $60.98. So basically $300 for the day. So that is about $1,500 for the week if I did this call volume every day, 7 days a week. What you are required to do to stay active in the system is 5 or 6 calls. I'm not sure. I think let me check my notes here. 6 calls per day, and 6 calls per day is typically 2 installs and 4 troubleshooting calls. That is the minimum. That's our requirements minimum. On average, you should be doing 3 and 6. That's what a typical tech will do per day, anywhere from 7 to 14 calls per day. Once you get your skills up, you'll be able to hit that 14 call volume. And this is what it will look like. So typically, our senior techs get about 4 calls on that on the standard. They get a couple of premium calls, and then they get about 7 or 8 trouble calls, and then they get about 2 to 3. We'll put 3 in here. Addition calls. That's 16 calls on a good day, starting off early in the morning. So if you keep this call volume up here, this is what you will bring in on a weekly basis. This is what you'll bring in on a daily basis. This is what you can literally make monthly, every 29 days, if you stay at that pace. That's literally a $75,000, $80,000 a year salary. But you have to keep up the pace. You also have to keep up your quality assurance. After each site, we will be conducting site surveys. So the customers or customer service is going to call customers and ask them how was the technician's appearance, how was his knowledge level, how was his technical skills, did he or she clean up after himself, did he or she break anything. As long as you're in the 90 plus percentile range, you're fine. If you drop below 90, we will sit down and try and repurpose some of our lead techs to work with you. Attendance is really, really big. Missing a call is huge. That's probably 50% of your score. You canceling a call or not making it on time. Not making it on time is about 25%, but you canceling or a no-show, that's about 50% of your score. So you don't want to do any cancellations and no-shows. If you show up at a site and the customer's not there, what we do is we highly recommend that you take a screenshot that you've called them, or if you're ringing the doorbell, make a quick video, send the video to operations. Operations will store that video in a no-show file, and then we will head out, or you can head out. You'll call your customers when you leave one site and head into the next site. We will schedule. You need to schedule your routes that morning. There's a 4-hour window. If a customer is not home, that means you have to go back. So if you show up at a customer and they're not there, the ticket is not closed. These tickets are paid once the tickets are closed in the system. That's the only time they're considered payable. So if you show up at a customer and they're not there, you have to document that it was a no-show, and that way you don't get dinged. You don't get paid for it, but you don't get dinged. But that's why it's important to have that communication. If you're there and you can't get them, you may want to call our operations. You guys will have the number. Operations will reach out to them and see if they can find them. But we're trying to work out a compensation structure of a no-show to where if you're not there, or if you show up and they're not there, you still get paid something for it. But as of now, it's not. But everybody wants their cable, everybody wants their internet. It's rare that we get a no-show for a customer because they are home. Either they're away from their phone or they're on the other line, or in a moment in the bathroom or something, in the shower. But we typically never have a no-show. We're in the 1% range. But still, you'll make your money up just by swinging it or moving it to another day, and you're going to be in that area anyway. So this is how you work the Excel spreadsheet. This is for your record keeping. You want to hang on to it. You can rename the tab to, whatever you want. You can say 1/2/19. So the second week, or whatever you want to call it. So it's totally up to you. But this is for your record keeping purposes and to determine how much money you're going to make or how much money you want to make. But just remember, our minimum daily calls are 6 site visits per day. Doesn't make any difference which call you get. These I didn't really touch on because these are really, really rare. Disconnect, you basically show up and clip a line. This other is something similar. Reconnect didn't work, so you got to go and put a splitter on the outside after it was reconnected, or they snipped the wrong line and took the wrong line off. And then other is basically, you may have to walk them through a menu on their TV very, very quick. It's rare that we get these calls. Typically, you get the troubleshooting calls, and we tend to throw these types of calls into the troubleshooting category or the addition category so you can get some money. If you have any questions, reach out to your supervisor or your project manager. And if you can't get a hold of either one of those, you just go straight to operations. You have the operations number. You guys have a good day. Bye-bye.